Continuing with the cover case, let's see if we can get a bit of a curve to this. Now, a good way to get curves is this proportional editing tool here. If we turn this on, we can select a point, and if we hit G and X, we can pull this out, scroll the mouse wheel out, and you can see we can get some curves here. But to get that curved form for the whole thing, we begin to actually pull and curve the edges of the piece itself, and the piece is flat on the back but curved on the front. So we need to figure out a way to not affect the points all the way around the edges. And a good way to do that is actually just to hide them. So whatever is hidden isn't affected by the proportional editing tool. So we can select all of these points all the way around, hit the H key and hide them. And then if we select that point again, we can use our proportional editing tool pulling these out without affecting the vertices along the outline. So now we can hit GX. Let me scroll in a bit and we can begin pulling these out some. And now we can just kind of go through and begin pulling some of this out like this. Maybe pull a bit out like this. So we can just kind of work on getting a nice curved shape here that we want. We can tab back into object mode and see it here now. So you can see we've got that edge staying in place and then the rest of it kind of curving out. Let's smooth it. I'll right click and choose Shade Smooth. And yes, so I think we're getting there. Let's hit the tab key again and let's pull out a little bit more. So maybe, well, I think what I'll do is reduce the influence. I'll press G and X and reduce the influence a bit and begin pulling out again like this. All right, I think that's pretty good. Let's tab back into object mode and take a look. Yeah, I think that'll work pretty well. Let's now unhide this. I'll press Alt-H here in edit mode to unhide those vertices. And then we could probably take that entire edge all the way around and extrude back a bit to get the sides of it. So let's try that. I'm going to go to edge mode now and Alt-click all the way around here, Alt-click, Alt-Shift-click, and get all of these here all the way around. And then let's just extrude back. I'll hit EX and push back like this. So I'm not sure exactly what we're going to need here or how far it needs to go, but let me turn on Auto Smooth here. Yeah, and then what we should do, I think, is also create this piece right here, or this kind of indentation. Let's try that. So first off, let's turn off the proportional editing tool. We can do that by just hitting the O key to toggle that off. And then what let's do is let's select everything that isn't in here, right? So maybe we could select these. Let me just select these around here like this. And then if we go back to solid mode, I'll press the C key for circle select. And then I'm just going to click and drag and select all of these faces on the front because I'm going to pull these forward. I'm going to extrude these forward to get this little indentation. So let's hit E and X and pull these straight out in the X axis like this. There we go. Right? So now we've got this piece here. We could probably clean that up a bit. Let's try that. Maybe if we selected all of these edges all the way around and gave them a bevel, that might help. And then also a bevel in here. Let's try that. Let me tab into object mode and select it. Let's press Control A and apply the scale. And then now let's go back here and press Alt and Shift click all the way around here to get all of these edges like that. And then let's try and bevel these. Let's press Control B, and pull that out, scroll the mouse wheel a bit. Let's see if that'll work there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now let's try and get this inside here. So Alt click and then Alt Shift click around here like this, and let's do the same thing here. Control B, and let's pull this out like this. See how that works. There we go. We could probably bevel edges up here, but I'm going to wait to do that until we're done working on the back part here. But what I will do while we're here is take an edge right here, and let's bevel this. Control B, and I'll just pull out a bit, but I'll scroll the mouse wheel so we don't have any edges in there. And I'll do it right about like this big, and then hit the 3 key to go to face mode, and then I'm just going to scale in the Z and the Y. So I need to turn the X-axis off. So press the E key, S, Shift X to turn that X-axis off, and then let's push in a bit to get kind of a ridge there. Yeah, something like that. All right, let's maybe put it on the motorcycle now and see how it looks. Let me change the name to case cover. I'll do that. We'll turn off the image here for now. Let's bring everything back here. And then let's try and put this in place. I'll go to wireframe and scale this down quite a bit. Let's hit the G key and move this in here like this. There we go. Let's take a look at that. Let's bring it out and put it kind of in place here. Now, as I said, we're going to have to connect or at least close some of this off, but I wanted to see how it's going to look there. Yeah, I think that'll work. We'll put some screws or bolts around here. I can't remember which they are. Oh, it looks like they're flathead screws, which we can do. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should go ahead and create a flathead screw so we can then put them in here. Let's do that. Let's hide everything again. And then I'll press Shift-A, UV sphere right here. Let's take this down to, let's do 16 and 12 maybe, like that. And let's take away the bottom part here. Click and drag down here and delete this. And then I'll scale in the Z. Something like that. We could maybe just take this edge here and scale it in just a bit like this. All right. Let's smooth it. And now let's create that flathead slot. What let's do is just use our Boolean modifier for this. We could create a new cube. Bring this up and let's scale it in the X. Like this. And let's see, maybe we need it to be a little bit narrower, something like this. And how deep do we want it? About like that, maybe. All right, let's take this cube and let's change it to wire display here so we can kind of see it. Let's select the screw. Let's add a Boolean modifier to it. And we'll use the little eyedropper here. We'll click that and then hover over the cube and select that. There we go. So now let's see if we can move this up or down to affect how it's going to cut in there. We could also turn on auto smooth over here, which would help quite a bit. There we go. Now we can move this up and down to get the kind of slot that we want. So I'm thinking maybe like this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now let's select that and let's apply the Boolean here. I can take this and delete it, and now we've got this that we can add to that case cover. So let's go back to the side view. Let's bring everything back here that we need. We don't need the image. Let's do this. I'm going to call this flathead screw. Let's figure out where it needs to go. It needs to go on the other side now. So let's press RY90. It's facing the wrong way, so let's press the negative key. There we go, and hit enter. Let's scale it down. And let's see if we can get this in place. Control 3, here we go. Now I'll press Shift Z and let's scale this down. and find one of these that we can put in place here. So maybe this one right here. Let's see, let's bring this over here. Maybe like this. Scale it down a little bit more, maybe. Something like that. And let's push it into where we need it to be. Here it is. Let's bring this in here. Get the period key on the numpad and pull it out a bit. So it's kind of in line with that. Feel like it needs to be more. Well, there's one down here. I can see that right here. Scale that down a bit. There we go. Shift Z. Yeah, there's one down here like this. So these are a little bit off, but I think that'll be okay. So I could take this one and Shift D, move it, say, to here. Put one up in here like this. I'm looking over here. And then let's do one right here. Shift D, but I think we're going to have to pull this out a bit. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to have to pull this out a bit like this. There we go. And then we need one right in here. Two over here. One over here. Here. And here. It looks like we could use one right here. I'm looking at this right here. It looks like one right here. A couple over here. And one out here. Let's try that. Yeah, so they need to be brought in a little bit. They're a little bit too far out. And then what I want to do is just spin them. I'm going to press RX and kind of turn them in a random way here. But we are going to have to take these and move them in a bit. They may need to be moved in individually and even tilted a bit to get them to fit on the outside there. But generally speaking, I think this is going to be okay. I think we'll be able to make this work. Yeah, so I've gone through and just kind of pulled them in a bit, turned them in random ways. So I think that actually might just work. But we still have more to do for this case. In the next video, we need to go ahead and clean this up a bit and maybe add some extrusions like here on the side. And then I think we'll have that area pretty well done where we can begin adding other things around it.